was a good nap. Okay. First book. Night of Tears. Night of Tears, Draenor Seleth. Sarthal holds a prominent place in Skyrim history. Even if most do not remember it by name, it is of course the site of one of the first major Nord settlements, one of the first cities of men in Skyrim, and the earliest known capital of their civilization. It was also the site of terrible bloodshed when the elves attempted to drive the Nords out of Skyrim, to succeed only in incurring their wrath in the form of Yaskrimr and his fabled 500 companions, who swept the elves from Skyrim and firmly established it as the home of the Nords. All this is known, but little else. What happened on that night of tears, when Sarthal was razed to the ground? What provoked the elves to such a deliberate, vicious attack, and what prompted such a severe response from the Nords? Vigalmo's treatise on the Altmer antecedent suggests that the elves of the Merethic era, along with their counterparts, the early Dwemer, possessed a degree of sophistication unparalleled in Tamriel. They displayed power beyond what could be expected at the time. While a distinct explanation is not given for this, I believe that this work, compared with early writings of Hesef Charinus, suggests that something greater was at work on that night in Sarthal. The true motives behind the Night of Tears have been obscured to us by the passage of time, but I believe this was not a simple war of territory or of control of Skyrim. I believe that what happened was a significant event based around something very particular. The Nords found something when they built their city buried deep in the ground. They attempted to keep it buried, but the elves learned of it and coveted it for themselves. Thus they assaulted Sarthal, their goal not to drive the Nords out, but to secure this power for themselves. I believe Yaskrimr knew something of what the elves would find under Sarthal, and rallied together his people to keep the elves from gaining it. When Nords once again controlled Skyrim, this power was buried deep below the earth and sealed away. Time has kept this knowledge from us, but it is my hope that time will also reveal the truth of these words. Every effort will be made to relocate Sarthal and find that which has been lost to us. Well, alright, the next book is The Last King of the Aelids by Herminia Sinna. The Aelids, or Heartland High Elves, ruled Cyrodiil in the long ages of myth before the beginning of recorded history. One of the earliest recorded dates, in fact, is the fall of White Gold Tower in the First Era 243, which is commonly assumed to mark the end of the Aelids. Although Aelid rule over all of Cyrodiil was indeed broken in the First Era 243, this was only one of the most obvious stages near the end of a long decline. The first 2 centuries of the First Era saw increasing strife between the great Aelid lords of Cyrodiil. Alessia appears to have taken advantage of a period of civil war to launch her uprising. Imperial historians have traditionally attributed her victory to intervention from Skyrim, but it appears that she had at least as much help from rebel Aelid lords during the siege of White Gold Tower. The popular image of the Aelids as brutal slave masters is based in fact, of course, but it is less well known that a number of Aelid princes continued to rule parts of Cyrodiil after 263 as vassals of the new Empress of Cyrodiil. This suggests either that Aelid rule was not universally detested, or that Alessia and her successors were more pragmatic than its is traditionally believed, or perhaps some of both. In any event, excavations at a number of Aelid sites show continued occupation and even expansion during the so-called late Aelid period, First Era 243 to the 498. At first, many Aelid lords continued to rule as vassals of the new human regime. In some cases, Aelid supporters of Alesia were even rewarded with new lands taken from slain enemies. It is not clear to what extent human slavery continued under the Cyrodiilic Empire. Humans continued to dwell in the Aelid-ruled areas of Cyrodiil, but there is nothing definitive to show under what terms. This was an uneasy relationship from the beginning, and was not destined to last long. Resentment at the continued presence of Aelid nobles within the empire was a contributing factor to the rise of the so-called Alessian order, founded by Maruk. The first victims of the Alessians were the Aelids of Cyrodiil in the early 300s. The surviving Aelid communities in human-ruled areas were obliterated one by one, the refugees temporarily swelling the power of the remaining Aelid lordships. Then in 361, the Alessians gained control of the empire and enforced the Alessian doctrine throughout its domain. The Aelid lordships were abolished. Enforcement of this decree does not appear to have required much direct violence. It seems that by this point the balance of power was so overwhelmingly against them, and their fate so long foreshadowed, that most of the remaining Aelids simply left Cyrodiil, eventually being absorbed into the elven populations of Valenwood and High Rock. Indeed, the rise of Durrani hegemony may be linked to the exodus of Aelids from Cyrodiil, a connection so far little studied by historians. Still, a remnant Aelid population seems to have survived the rule of the Alessians, because we hear the last king of the Aelids joining the battle of Glenumbria Moors, where the Draennes decisively defeated the Alessians in 482. How this king's people survived the preceding century is unknown. We do not even know why they were, although recent research points to Nanalata as a possible resting place of this last king. Unfortunately, in the current state of the empire, funds are no longer available for proper scientific investigation of such extensive ruins. So the answer to these questions will have to be left to future generations. Well, and the last book will be Fragment on Artium by Tars-Il and Salema. The Isle of Artium is the third largest island in the Somerset archipelago, located south of the Morandonan village of Patanza and west of the mainland village of Runcibe. It is best known for being home to the Physic Order, perhaps the oldest monastic group in Tamriel. The earliest written record of physics is from the 20th year of the First Era and tells the tale of the renowned Breton sage and author Vornay traveling to the Isle of Artium to meet with Lachesis, the right master of the physics. Even then, the physics were the counselors of kings and proponents of the Elder Way, taught to them by the original race that inhabited Tamriel. The Elder Way is a philosophy of meditation and study said to bind the forces of nature to the individual will. It differs from Magica in origin, but the effects are much the same. That said, it is perhaps more than coincidence that the Isle of Artium literally vanished from the shores of Somerset at the beginning of the Second Era, about the time of the founding of the Mages Guild in Tamriel. Various historians and scholars have published theories about this, but perhaps none but Lachesis and his own could shed light on the matter. 500 years passed and Artium returned. The physics on the isle consisted of persons, mostly elves, who had disappeared and were presumed dead in the Second Era. They could not or would not offer any explanation for Artyom's whereabouts during that time, or the fate of Lachesis and the original Council of Artyom. Currently the physics are led by the lore master Celerus, who has presided over the Council of Artyom for the last 250 years. The Council's influence in Tamriel politics is tidal. The kings of Somerset, particularly those of Moradunnan, have often sought the physics' opinion. Emperor Uriel V was much influenced by the council in the early, most glorious parts of his reign, before his disastrous attack on Achavar. It has even been suggested that the fleet of King Orgum of Paendone was destroyed by a joint effort of Emperor Antiochus and the Physic Order. The last four emperors, Uriel VI, Maratha, Pelagius IV, and Uriel VII, have been suspicious of the physics enough to refuse ambassadors from the Isle of Artyom within the imperial city. The Isle of Artyom is difficult to chart geographically. It is said that it shifts continuously either at random or by decree of the council. Visitors to the island are so rare as to be almost unheard of. Anyone desirous of a meeting with the physic may find contacts in Patanza and Runcebe, as well as many other kingdoms of Somerset. Were it more accessible, Artyom would be a favored destination for travelers. I have been to the isle once and still dream of its idyllic orchards and clear pastures, its still and silent lagoons, its misty woodlands, and the unique physic architecture that seems to be as natural as its surroundings, as well as wondrous in its own right. The Seraph Tower in particular I would study, for it is a relic from a civilization that predates the High Elves by several hundred years, and is still used in certain rites by the physics. Perhaps one day I might return. Note: the author is currently on the Isle of Artyom by gracious consent of Master Sergenius of Council of Artyom. Maybe I'll go there sometime, eh? Alright, let's go give these books to someone.
The exact nature of my research is a secret, I'm afraid, but it really is quite valuable.
Good.
It's lies. All of it. I don't care what she told you. It's all lies.
Who are you talking about?
Feralda, don't act like she didn't say anything. I know her, and I know what she's been up to.
What do you know about Encano?
Don't trust that one. He's up to something. Most here are up to something, of course, but in his case, it's not good. I haven't figured it out yet, but I will. He is rather handsome, though, isn't he?
Haha. What's your problem with Feralda?
My problem with her? She's the one who has a problem with me. She's threatened by me, by my skill as a wizard, by my elegance and posture, by my superior good looks. But she is not going to get the better of me. Oh, no. I won't let it get to me one bit. That's what she's after. She's trying to undermine my confidence, make me doubt myself. Well, it won't work, I tell you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like they got this ball of light back here. Wow.
If you're working on any experiments, please clean up after yourself.
good to see Skyrim still has such fine people. You give an old man hope.
Talk to her.
It's always encouraging to see the younger generations embracing education.
Agro shop.
I don't want to see you treating any of these books poorly. Are we clear?
Well, what do you got for sale?
Assorted books, scrolls. I'm sure you'll find something useful.
Okay, I got those books that went missing.
Well, well. And you seem to be in one piece. Thank you. I'll look these over and inform Mirabelle if I find anything relevant. Night of Tears, eh? I remember this one. Well, isn't that interesting? Did you read it yourself?
I did.
If I recall it correctly, that has some interesting implications. You should mention that to Toldir. And here. I suppose you've earned these.
Whoa. Okay. Is there any other college business I can assist with?
If you're feeling adventurous, I'm always looking for someone to procure valuable books from some more dangerous locations.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Well, all right. Here. I scribbled down the last place I'd heard about. Check it out, but be careful.
All right.
Until next time.
I'll see you in a couple months. It's crazy. Alright, I'll see you back in Whiterun. Back in my home. Later.